Please find a comfortable position to be in. The card that I've chosen today is actually called Bast. So it's a female goddess. And the topic of this goddess is play. Now, in relation to physical practice and how I introduced it to you today as in doing what is right for your body is a way of playing. So it further says, it is time to relax and be playful. Seeking a balance between work and play is highlighted. It is suggested that learning a difficult skill through discovery and play is the way to go. Be curious, and this is that how we go about our practice is like play and work at the same time, because we are trying to strengthen our body to get more mobility in. So that is the work part of it, and then the playful part is how we can approach it within our minds. Bast in ancient Egypt is a domestic cat. The cats in Egypt were very much a part of city and family life. In a time when plague and disease could not be halted and spread easily, the services of a fine feline hunter were appreciated. Cats became symbols of protection and royalty and were even mummified as companions and protectors of the dead in the afterlife. So I think we're back in that ancient time at the moment with COVID-19. So as much as I was resisting these cards, it is a good one to work with today. I will come back to it as always during relaxation. So while you might take in that gentle hint of working and being playful and finding a balance between these two, let's deepen the breath a little. Allowing yourself to just breathe more fully, to embrace the breath as it flows. It moves in and out of your nose. And maybe you can imagine this cat developing within you, this flowing, playful creature that is so mobile and yet full of strength. As you allow your breath to deepen now, you might choose to add a slight movement into the neck. Whether you're lying down or you're seated, you might, in companion with your breath, just move the head a bit from side to side. And those of you seated, you might increase this movement of your neck and just exploring how's the neck feeling today. A very helpful hint for your practice. And once you've explored that, those of you that are lying down, you could come into a full body stretch. Those of you seated, you might just stretch your arms up and go a little bit into the sides. Lying down, you can do the same. You could just stretch over one side to the other. And then in your own time, making your way up into standing. I know that sounds harsh, but please do take your time to get into a standing position. Whether you choose to do that from a forward fold or make your way simply up into standing. Taking a standing position that is comfortable for you. You could have a hip width stance, or you could touch the feet together. I usually, if I do so, leave my heels a little bit apart. That's nicer for the hip alignment. The breathing technique to begin the practice with has a strong neck movement in it. If your neck is feeling a little bit tight, please be mindful of that. You can always do way less than what I'm demonstrating. So let's interlace the fingers and touch the knuckles of the fingers underneath your chin. Keep your gaze forward. As you inhale through your nose, lift your elbows up and around your ears. Now please breathe out of the mouth. And if you can, lift the chin and start to push the elbows together. Now we're breathing in, bringing the gaze forward. As you lift your elbows, there's length in the sides. And then breathing out of the mouth as you're pushing the elbows together. Please be strong in your stance, in your legs. Inhaling through the nose, elbows rising. And out breath out of the mouth. Let's do a few more. Inhaling as you find length in your sides. And out breath out of your mouth. One more only. Then release. Let your arms relax down by your sides. Bring your head into neutral. Maybe rock a little bit over the feet. Find some movement around the shoulders, the neck again. And take a deep breath in. Have a sigh out. Then lift the arms up as you're breathing in. Coming into Charlie's Angel's Mudra, as you interlace the fingers and touch your index fingers together. When you're breathing out now, bend a little bit to the right. Keep that more like a movement. Inhale, center. Exhaling to your left. Keep swaying like this. Can be small movements, can become bigger. Please listen into the body. And I encourage you next time you move over to the right-hand side to just stay there. Find your length if that's possible. In the arms, keep the top shoulder back a little. Maybe the hip starts pushing out. And these are only options now. Come back to center. In breath and out breath, go to the other side. Same here. Keep your top shoulder back for alignment. Finding length in the right side of the body, you're firmly grounded. It might go the other direction. Take a breath in as you lift, and now release your arms as you're breathing out. And the same after every pose. You could move a little, find your own release in between. Take a breath, maybe have a sigh. If you're a bit tired, maybe yawning in between gives you that nice relaxing feeling as well. So for those of you who've got slide back, hip issues, anything that doesn't quite feel right in the back, for the standing back bend, I encourage you to place your hands flat into the lower back and to point your fingertips downwards. If you feel you want to go into the full expression, lift your arms back up on the inhalation, interlace the fingers in an odd way, and touch your index fingers together again into Charlie's Angel's Mudra. Now we will all press down into the feet. We'll get a sense of lifting through the sternum as we breathe in, and finding the length and the openness here in the chest. So even if your hands are in your lower back, see if you can extend a bit further. Keeping the sense of lifting. If you don't want to bring your head back, that's fine. If you can, please guide it back carefully. Stay for one more breath. Nice open sensation over the front of the body. And as you come back up, releasing your arms wherever you've placed them. Now as we approach a forward fold, let's take a breath in and lift the arms again. You can either choose to dive forward and your knees would be bent, or you can choose to bring your hands through the midline and folding from here. Now the floor might be still a bit far away from you. Please use a pile of books or a block if that is the case. However, I encourage you to rest your hands down somewhere. If you've got nothing close, you might rest your hands against your shins. and walking out the legs. As if you were paddling out from a downward facing dog. There's a lift maybe in a heel and then the other, and you might find that this increases your mobility. Now let's lower the head altogether, finding your stance on both feet in this forward fold. You can keep your hands on your legs or your shins if you need to, but you might embrace your calves instead, as you could wrap your arms behind the calves. Now you could just hold them here, shift the weight forward, or you could try and slide your fingers underneath your heels. Keeping the calves embraced, your gaze is backwards, and you're trying to lift your tailbone. Now, whichever variation of this forward bend you have found for yourself, please stay with it and just take your awareness now to the out breath, breathing out deeply. Notice what happens with the deeper exhalation. This will be the last full breath within this shape, and you would take out your hands from wherever they are. Now you've got two options again. You can use your core and roll up slowly on an out breath, or you can touch the hands together, bend your knees and lift your arms out the front as you're rising to standing, and then release the arms down by the sides. So I don't know about you, but my body is now starting to warm up. So we will continue with a few chair poses, and if you're not warmed up yet, maybe this is happening now. Your choice again is to touch the feet. I touch mine fully in chair pose, just my option, or you can keep your feet at hip distance apart. We'll lift the arms out in front. Now usually here for this variation the palms are facing down. If this brings stress into shoulders and upper back, please turn the palms upwards, maybe even bending your elbows. Take a breath in, and when you're exhaling, bending your knees and your hips. And we're starting to open the sit bones. Now, as the sit bones are opening like a Y shape, please engage your core, holding the arms forward if that is possible, shoulders relaxed, and see if you can sink in that little bit deeper. So please find your own variation, taking a couple of deep breaths, inviting some of the warmth that this posture provides for us. Then press down into the feet as you inhale and release your arms. And again, maybe give your body a little release. Now we'll only practice two of them. There is a third one which we'll skip. So for the next one, I invite you to keep your spine upright. So in this one, we were leaning forward. In the next one, we'll keep standing tall. Arms have the same options. But before we go anywhere, I'd invite you to lift your heels off the ground and then bend your knees as you're breathing out. So you will be lightly challenged with your balance. Now keeping yourself nice and upright, heels as high as possible, and stay here. Wherever you went with this, stay for another 2 breaths. Once you've completed your 2 breaths, lift, extend the legs, lower the heels, and release your arms. The next posture isn't that different, only that we're now only standing on one leg as we come towards eagle pose. If you don't want to stand on one leg or you can't, you can always stay with both feet on the ground and just bend your knees. Let's lift the arms out on the in-breath, wrapping the right arm underneath the left, which could result in a shoulder embrace, or you can touch the palms together. Let the shoulders relax. Let's bend both knees. And then lifting your right foot up, if that's the case, and maybe start by tapping the big toe to the ground, or hugging the foot in, or even wrapping it around. Make sure, please, that both knees are bent, especially if the leg is lifted, so you can push the legs as well as the arms against each other, so to stimulate the energy lines. One more breath on this side. And as you breathe in, lift and land. Let's take the arms out again, inhale, and this time we will wrap the left arm underneath the right. Same option, shoulder embrace or the hands together. Let your shoulders relax. Then bend both knees. Either stay here or lift your left leg and cross it over the right. Big toe to the floor, foot hugged in by the side or wrapped behind. Careful with the wrap so the hips stay facing forward. Again, please encourage legs and arms to push against each other. Steady gaze, the breathe. And to release, lift the arms, the knee, plant the foot, and release the arms. Take a deep breath, have a pause. Maybe a sigh out to relax. Approaching now a variation of a dancer pose. So to do so, you can use a strap or anything that represents a strap if you have trouble catching your foot behind. You don't have to catch the foot at all if you've got nothing close by either. So let's start by opening the right hand out to the side as if you were offering something. Shift the weight to the left foot, lift the right foot, and then see if you can catch the inner edge of the foot. Bringing your knees together. If you can't take a hold here, just keep the knees touching, the foot lifted, you're already in a balance. You could lift your left arm, touching index and thumb together if you like. And then if this is suitable for you, begin to bring the foot back into the hand. Explore to move forward, but keep your gaze and your chest open. Encouraging the foot into the hand, or if you're not holding on, lifting the knee behind if you want to progress. The standing leg is straightish, yet there's no lock in the knee. One more breath here. Then lift to stand, release the foot, release the arm, breath in, maybe a sigh out or a big breath out. Then offer the left hand open, bending your left knee. See what happens on this side. If you can catch the foot, grab it on the inner edge so that the shoulder is nicely open. That's the reason for it. Bring your knees together. Maybe the foot's in the hand, maybe not. Lifting your right arm, index and thumb can touch as an option. Nice and steady gaze to approach the balance as you bring your foot back into the hand or lift your knee behind. You could lean a bit forward, but keep your gaze and your chest open. If the foot's in the hand, really encourage it into the hand. And if it's not, think about the lift of the knee. Open gaze. One more breath. Then inhale to lift and exhale to release the pose. Breathing in and out deeply. Our next balance represents kind of a warrior three. I've stepped a little bit back on my mat, yet I need to make sure that I'm not kicking into the wall. Let's take a breath in and lift the arms up. Now please find the Charlie's Angels Mudra again in your comfortable interlace. So we've got nice and long arms. I will ask you now to step your left foot a little bit forward. Land on the left foot and starting to peel the back foot off the floor. Keep your body long. If the big toe needs to stay on the ground, that's fine too. If you can, tilt all the way forward like you would for a warrior three. Your gaze will be down. In this variation of the pose, the toes stay pointed and you're reaching basically from your big toe towards your fingertips while aiming to keep your hips facing to the floor. One more breath. Then lift, step that right foot back down, left foot comes next to it, and we're releasing the arms. Take a pause, have a breath. And as you breathe in, lifting the arms once more, changing the whole interlace of the fingers, index fingers touching again, pointing upwards, arms long and strong. This time, step your right foot a little bit forward, land completely on the right foot, start to peel the left foot off the ground, and begin to lean forward. Keep the length in the body. It doesn't matter if you're coming all the way into the pose or approaching it in your own way. Keep pointing through the toes behind you. Find the length forward into the fingertips. Keep your hips facing towards the floor, your gaze towards the ground. And then step the foot back down, the other one back, and release as you're breathing up. And sometimes our landings aren't grateful, and we are grateful that we can land. So let's move into a wide-legged forward bend. You don't have to turn your mat at all. You can stay as you are. Just stepping your feet out wide and turning sideways will do. I really encourage you to stay with your feet on the mat rather than the carpet, because oftentimes we have problems sliding out. Now with your wider stance, the outer edges of your feet will be parallel. As you breathe in now, let's lift the arms out to the sides. Bend your knees a little, embrace your core and fold right forward from your hips. See if you can come all the way forward. Your hands can come to rest on the outside of your legs. That's for those with shorter arms. The weight already starts leaning forward into the toes, but not quite. The heels stay grounded. If you can reach there, you can slide your fingers underneath the outer edges of the feet. You can choose to bring your gaze towards the floor. I find this is quite strong for the neck. I prefer to look backwards. And if your hands are underneath the outer edges of your feet, you might begin to bend your elbows outwards as you're deepening the pose. None of that suits. Hands can always be on the floor. Stay with the forward bend. 2 more breaths from here. To release the forward bend, please bend your knees a fair bit, switch your core on. If possible, lift your arms out, but you could roll up instead, finding a way up into standing before releasing the arms. Keeping your wide stance now. Please turn your right toes outwards. You might even widen the stance a bit more if that's suitable. Bending into the right knee. Now please pay attention that this knee stays in line with the toes and that you've got a good amount of weight on the outer edge of your back foot. Then lift your arms, palms open, breath in. And as you breathe out, lean in. Forearm can rest onto the thigh, or you can point your fingertips towards your big toe. If your neck is okay, why not lift the gaze up towards the fingertips? Long, strong openness into the chest and the upper arm. Pushing into the feet. Inhale as you lift up, straighten the leg. Exhale, release your arms. Now let's turn the right toes forward and the right toes inwards and the left toes forward. And as you do so, now bend your left knee. We'll repeat the same pose on the other side. So make sure the knee is in line with your toes and there's weight back into the outer edge of your back foot. Then lift your arms out, palms open again. On your next exhalation, choosing your pose. fingertips pointing towards the big toe or the forearm resting on the thigh. Your gaze could come up, the subtle chin tuck here to engage the muscles of your neck. Standing strong on the feet and thinking about the openness in the chest and the reach upwards. Breath in to take yourself back up, straighten the leg. Breath out to release the arms. Now I encourage you to heel and toe your feet in. So your feet will be parallel again, and you might choose to face forward now rather than sideways. It's like a pyramid pose, so please stepping, so this is my right foot now, stepping your right foot a bit forward. I've got my feet roughly 1 meter apart and then about hip distance, so my hips are facing forward. You could place your hands onto your hips to approach the posture to make sure they stay parallel, or you can lift your arms up on the inhalation and then folding forward on the exhalation. Your hands might come to rest somewhere on your shins, on a block, maybe even the thighs, or you can keep touching the palms pointing forward. So again, it's up to you finding your option. Your nose here points towards the knee. Now you will notice that we're leaning kind of into the front leg naturally. I encourage you to push down to the foot as if you wanted to push off the floor like in a jumping action. Of course we're not jumping, but this way we can bring our hips into better balance. Stay for another breath. And to come out, either roll up or bend the front knee, lifting the arms forward as you're rising, and then stepping your feet back together and releasing the arms. Have a little wiggle here before we're approaching the other side. Setting yourself up in the same way. So left foot forward, take them roughly 1 meter apart, but also hip distance. It's not just to keep the hips forward, it also helps us with our balance. Then lift your arms, breathing in, and start to dive forward. Finding your arm position once more. There's no reason why the hands have to stay touching. Please find your way into the pose. And again, you might have that sensation of leaning too much into the front foot. Press it down further into the mat. Balance your pelvis out. Keep your gaze back towards your knee and find out if you're actually locking into joints. The legs are straight in this position, but there's never a lock into any of the joints, neither front nor back leg. Last breath within this pose. And then choosing to rise again. You could bend the front knee or roll up all together if you want to go strong. Arms lifting out and up. We step the feet parallel and releasing. Have a little wiggle here. Our last standing posture for today is the tree. You all have your own variations. I trust I will still guide you through. If anyone in the practice today feels like bending the knees very deeply and coming into a toe stand, if you know what I'm talking about, please feel free to go there. Otherwise, we will stand on the left foot, taking the right knee to open, maybe stepping the foot up a little, maybe stepping it up a lot, just simply avoiding the knee joint there. And if you want to approach a toe stand or you feel your mobility is there, you might place your foot into the hip crease. Now the foot higher than the knee, please create pressure, a leg and foot against each other, or leg and a hip against each other, if that makes sense. You can always hold the foot here too. Placing now the hands together, right in front of your chest. And from there, as we're nice and lazy in the standing leg, push the floor away. Feel into your trunk, standing nice and tall. this would be your opportunity to come into a toe stand if that suits. You can simply stay here if you prefer. Or you could find an arm variation, such as extending the arms or opening into branches. Finding the suitable variation for you. Maybe you want to have a play, lifting the gaze or closing the eyes. If you're in a toe stand at all, can't find your way back. If you're in a standing tree, bring your hands back to the heart. Stepping the foot to the ground, releasing the arms. I'm slightly releasing my body. Oftentimes, especially in balance, there's a bit of tension coming in. A bit of holding on, really. So let's play with the other side. Weight goes into the right foot, finding your variation. And as I mentioned on the other side, if the foot is any higher than the knee, avoiding the knee joint, of course, altogether, create pressure between leg and foot. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart when you're ready. And before you go anywhere, encouraging a lot more strength into the standing leg, extending into the trunk of the tree. If you want to play with the toe stand on this side, doesn't mean you've done so before, please go ahead. If you want to play with the arms, the same options. You can extend the crown, you could build branches, you could close the eyes for a moment, or lift your gaze to challenge your balance. If you're playing with a toe stand, release it back to your trees. Bring your hands back to the heart space. And release the pose. Have a last wiggle or movement. Take a breath in. And you have a sigh out. We will have a break after these standing postures, so do lie yourself down into Shavasana pose. Will only be for a short while. If possible, face your head towards your screen and your feet away from the screen. Doesn't have any other reason but that it's easier than to move on with the practice on the floor. If you know you're getting cold, although we will next practice backbends, please do wear something. You can always take things on and off. So finding your way onto your back. Maybe the feet are stepped on the floor, maybe your legs out long. Let the arms open out, palms facing up so shoulders can relax, and we don't need any muscles at all, just simply releasing. Allowing legs to roll out, arms to soften, eyes can close. And notice how you're feeling now. Maybe things have changed, the practice can transform. Notice how much work you put into the practice so far, and how much play. Notice if your mind has wandered now. Bring it back and have 3 more breaths. Once you completed your 3 breaths, if you need some support to sit up, please roll over to your side, do what you need to do. If you want to go stronger, extend your arms over the head. Hook the thumbs up, spread out your fingers. Take a breath in through the nose, flex the feet. breath out of the mouth to sit up, big swing, and to fold forward. Take a breath in there to lengthen through the spine. And we will then take a roll all the way around and lie down onto the front of the body. Placing your hands down by the sides of the rib cage, pushing down through the tops of the feet. As you take a breath in, lifting your head and chest for a cobra. If you want to add a bit more strength in your back, lift the hands off the floor. Stay here, breathe, legs strong, pointing down into the toes. To release the pose, let your arms come down by the sides. Take your left ear to the mat, close the eyes, let the whole body relax. For our next posture, turn the palms of the hands down. Thumbs will be pointing out. For those of you who can get there, roll the body side to side and bring your arms underneath the body, maybe even to a point where your little fingers come close or even touch. Rest your chin down onto the mat. Legs are long. As you breathe in, lifting the right leg. Make sure here the hips are still balanced, facing down. Head is on the ground. Out breath, release your right leg. In breath, lift your left leg. Same here, keep your hips grounded, point out through the toes. And exhale, release that. Now let's try both. Press the hands into the ground, lift through the legs. Here, if you could, your hips can take off the floor. So again, be playful, see where you can get. And then release. Roll over side to side. Get your arms out from underneath and place your right ear to the mat. Relax the body. Noticing what is actually happening in the body in the times where we are relaxing. For our next back bend, if possible, please touch your legs together. Reach your arms out and to your sides, palms on the floor, just below shoulder height. As you take a breath in, lift your legs, your head, your chest, and your arms. Only doing what is right for you. Spread out into the fingers, turn the thumbs a little bit up. Here you can lift your gaze. Another breath to hold. And as you release, place your left ear back down onto the mat. Let your arms relax, palms facing up, heels might roll out, and breathe again. Now, for the next back bend, this could be a little bit too strong. It's the full bow pose. I encourage you, if that is too strong, to repeat one of the previous. If you can bend your knees, make sure your knees are quite close when you begin, catching the outer edges of the feet for it. As you breathe in, push the feet into the hands, if that is your choice, lifting through the head to the chest, and hold here. If your knees are coming apart, please pull them back in. Look after your back. Feet are pushing into the hands if you're in the pose. And to release, bring your left ear back onto the mat. Relax. Then placing your hands down by the sides, come up onto all fours and come to sit. I will encourage you to touch your knees together, to open your feet and to sit in between your feet. Now, this might not be suitable for everybody. This is quite strong on the knee joints, also on the hips. If you have a block or two, you might instead choose to pop those in between the feet and to sit on. Again, I would still encourage you to have your knees bent, and blocks can be translated into books. Now, if your feet are wide and you are sitting on the floor, you can come all the way down onto your back. And once you're lying on your back, keep the knees touching, you can embrace your elbows. So that's the full extension of the posture. As I trust that quite a few of us will stay in a seated position, you might bring your hands onto your feet as well. You might also bring your hands or fists down behind. And if this suits, keeping the knees touching, can you open the front of the body, guiding the chin up and bringing it back. If this doesn't work for you, you can always remain seated. If you choose to remain seated, you've got the option as well of wrapping your arms around your head and holding onto the elbows. Now stay. One more breath, wherever you are. And releasing yourself from your chosen pose in the way that you came into it. From there, bring your feet together. Remove your blocks if you had any. Lift the arms up in a deep breath in, and then fold right over your thighs into an extended child's pose. If possible, your forehead, your third eye will rest onto the ground. If that's not possible, place a block there and see if you can rest your forehead onto the block. Stay there for a couple of breaths. Once you have completed the 2 breaths in this pose, you can walk your hands back to have support, or you keep your arms extended. Engage into your core quite strongly as you're lifting up the way you came in and then releasing the arms out. Our last back bend for this morning is the camel. I separate my knees for the camel pose to about hip distance. We will come to stand on the knees. 2 options what to do with the feet. You can keep them flat or you can tuck your toes under, your choice. We will begin together by placing the hands flat into the lower back as some did for the standing back bend. Fingers will be pointing down. We draw the shoulder blades, the elbows together. Now please start engaging, lifting through Mula Bandha, so engaging the lower abdominal muscles and beginning to lift through the chest. Keep thinking about a string here at the sternum that is lifting you upwards. Your head can stay forward, or if you like, you can lift the chin and guide the head backwards. Now, while you stay in this extension and lift, if you like, you can try and touch your hands towards your heels, avoiding that you're leaning all the way backwards. We're still keeping the sense of lifting and opening through the front of the chest. Last breath within this back bend. And then lifting yourself up. And slowly coming to sit down towards the heels. Now for the inversion, which is also a forward bend, the full variation of the rabbit is to take a hold of your heels. Now for some this will be too intense for whatever reason, and you could place your hands down here by the sides of your knees at any stage in this practice. If this brings the head too low, you're feeling quite unwell in this posture, don't suffer through it. Rather place a block there in front and rest down that way. So finding again your variation. If you want to approach, tuck the chin in, lean over your thighs, place the head down, and then lift your hips off your heels. So that we're holding onto the heels in the full expression of this posture, and we're right on the very crown of the head. There's a mild sensation here of lengthening through the back of the neck, and the stronger sensation if you're holding on in the arms and the shoulders.
As I said, you could support with the hands down by the sides. Stay here, 2 more breaths. And then carefully sitting back to the heels, and I'd ask you to slide your hands forward. Stack your fists, keep the head in line with the heart now as you rest your forehead onto the stacked fists. Then let's place the hands down by the sides, pushing yourself up into sitting and extending your legs out long towards the front. Let's begin with the left leg extended and the right knee at a bend. In an ideal world and body, your foot would rest against the inner thigh. Not possible, just place it somewhere more comfortable against the inside of the leg. Walk out through your sit bones so you're turning towards the extended leg. Flex the foot so the toes are facing upwards. Now you've got your 2 options here, hands down and you're walking forward. Or you can come with me and take a breath in and lift the arms. And then fold right from the hips as you're breathing out. Your hands might come to rest somewhere on your leg, whatever you can reach without pulling the arms out of the shoulder sockets. If you can reach the foot, that's fine, but make sure that the shoulders are relaxed, the elbows lightly soft. The knee can have a light bend here. If it works for you, the leg can be all the way straight. Your head is moving towards the knee as the posture suggests, head to knee pose. Watch your breathing. 1 more to go. And then either walk the hands back if this is how you approach the posture, or reaching forward and up. And then releasing the arms. Lifting your right knee now. Either step the foot down onto the mat, just like this, or stepping your foot across. There is another variation, but only approach it if you're still balanced on both sit bones and can maintain that if you bend the other leg as well. Your choice. Take a hold of your knee. Lift yourself really tall in your spine. Keep the opposite hand on the knee and get your right hand fingertips behind. And then a breath out for your twist. I often see people that go full blast into the twist. I really don't know how I'm feeling in it, but please feel free to deepen your twist now. Arm wrapping around the knee, elbow coming to the outside. Some of you might even be able to come into a full bind. And you guys know who you are. I don't have to show you that. Leave the shoulders relaxed. 1 more breath within your twist. And when you do come to release it, let your hands come out. Unwind your legs. Maybe give them a little shake. We will change sides. So you might step your left foot down onto the ground and then open it out. You can rest again the sole of the foot quite high up or a bit lower if you require. Walk out through the sit bones. So you're facing your extended leg, flex the foot here. Same options, hands down, walk them forward. Or breath in to lift the arms and then folding from your hips as you're breathing out. Same here. Don't aim for anything that is really out of reach. Let your hands come to rest where they do. Let the shoulders be soft and lower your head gently towards the knee. Knee might remain bent or become straight altogether. Only reaching really for the foot. If the shoulders stay in their sockets, the elbows can be soft. And then rest here, 2 more breaths. To come out, you will either choose to walk the hands back or reach the arms forward, lifting with your inner strength and then releasing the arms.
guiding your left knee up, and you can keep the foot here on the inside of the leg, or you can step the foot across. Be mindful if you choose the full expression of the pose that both sit bones are on the ground. Take a hold of the knee, pull yourself up tall. Opposite hand on the knee, left hand fingertips behind. Then breathe out for your twist. Then choose to either embrace, if you go deeper at all, or to bring your arm across. As we're twisting in the other direction, eyes might be closed, and an invitation to remain here for 2 breaths. To release the pose, let your arm come out, unwind your leg, give the legs a little shake. I invite you to a complete forward fold from here. My way of approaching that is to step the feet in a little bit. The knees in a fairly deep bend. Now you can either pistol grip your big toes here with these 2 fingers wrapping around the big toe, or you can take a hold of the balls of the feet from the outside. So important is that the shoulders aren't rolling inwards. The shoulders stay open, so you're always approaching, whether that's pistol grip or the outer edges of the feet. Let's pull on the feet a bit, so to lengthen the spine. Breathe in. Now keep your spine exactly like this and just sliding the legs out. You might not get to the full extension, and that's perfectly fine. Keep the spine long, shoulders in their sockets, gaze lightly forward without hanging in the neck. So just lightly looking forward. And see if you can straighten the legs this little bit more as you're breathing out, keeping a strong contact of belly and thighs. Last breath in this pose. And to release, can you lift the arms forward or walk the hands backwards? Again, completely up to you. Let's release the arms down. To finish the seated part, I encourage you to just fold the legs in. If you need to keep them long, that's fine. Come to a seat and close the eyes. Support is welcome here, such as a block underneath. Let your shoulders relax. Now, as it is in the morning, Kapalabhati might be a nice breathing practice to finish with. However, if this practice makes you feel a bit dizzy, it might not be the right one for you today. It is basically where we're pulling the skin under the navel quickly in towards the front of the spine while we're sniffing the breath out of the nose. Some of you might have a different way of practicing this technique. Feel free to just simply start if you're familiar. If you aren't, we'll approach it slowly, and you might have your hand on your lower belly. So you're breathing out of the nose like this, and the lower belly is pulling in. Keep it this slow if you're only just starting. If it feels right, you can go a lot faster. And pause. Rest, take a deep breath in. Slow, long breath out of nose or mouth, your choice. And one more breath. I encourage you now to lie down and to put on everything that you might need in a slight cool environment. such as socks, blankets, and whatever it is. Before I guide you to lie down still, just lie down on your back for a moment. Give your right knee a hug in towards your chest. Let the shoulders be relaxed. Stay with the knee in the chest for another breath. Before you let your right foot step down, maybe the leg slides out, and we're doing the same on the other side. Left knee hugging in towards the chest. And for another breath. And this time might you bring in the other knee as well, giving them both a good squeeze. Leave your shoulders down and relaxed, and if it feels good, you might rock gently from side to side. When you're feeling balanced and ready for Shavasana pose, step your feet down, get your cushioning underneath you in whatever shape or form you might like that. Maybe lengthen the legs out altogether, which is always our preferred version of Shavasana. So if you can, have your legs out long, feet rolling out. You might instead have your knees bend if need be. But let the arms come open, the shoulders relax. Look after your neck, maybe a light chin tuck, not to block the throat, but to lengthen through the back of the neck. And then let everything go all together. Take a deep breath in, have a sigh out, and release. And just spending the next couple of minutes being present within your own body. Being present with the sensations that you might be feeling, the breath slowing down. And if you choose to, you can return to the card for today's practice, the goddess fast. It says here, fast comes into your life as any cat does, powerfully, yet playfully. She's wonderful to call upon when you feel depressed or low, as she assists you to find what it is that will make you feel happier. It suggests that all work and no play makes us very dull. Yet we can also overindulge in the play. So you might want to think of this goddess bringing in the balance between the work and the play, same as we were aiming in this practice. And if you are in need of some more playfulness, one of the most simple ways to honor Bast is to play with your own cat. Watch how much fun cats have with the simplest of triggers, the box or a piece of string. If you don't have a cat, you might simply watch a cat video. So getting into your day today, maybe with that little bit more playfulness. Let's take a deeper breath now. Maybe have a sigh out. Beginning to move the body again. Enjoying to feel your body in motion. Ever so gently maybe, or in a stretch.
And then take yourself back into a seated pose in the way that feels right for you. Maybe trying a new way of sitting up. Once you come to sit, touch the hands together in front of the chest. Close the eyes for another moment. And trying to get in touch with your inner cat, with your inner playfulness that gives you strength as much as balance. And from my inner cat to yours, namaste. I will come up to the camera now and show you the card, because I don't know much about goddesses and I can't assume that you do. So this is the card of the goddess Bast. I don't know if you can see it clearly.